I started off in 1998 as a support worker, working at Wheelsby Hall. And from that time to where I am now, I'm an operations manager. So I travel across Lincolnshire over all the residential services and oversee the registered managers.
So what was your job when you were here in the hall mainly?
So when I first started, I was a support worker at Wheelsby Hall. At the time, there was about 35 students within Wheelsby Hall. So my job was supporting them, doing leisure activities, supporting them on the courses at the college. We used to work shifts, so I would come on, for example, on a Monday morning and be here till the Wednesday. So it would involve predominantly supporting the students to gain more independence, more living skills, teaching them how to cook and things. So yeah, it was very varied post. And from a support worker, then I progressed on to what was called the medication independence tutor within Wheelsby Hall. So I was overseeing all the medication for the students, working alongside closely with the college nurse then. So I started in 1998 and I was working at the hall for the first 8-10 years of my time within linkage. So yeah, it's a very passionate place. I do remember the first day when I came for my interview, even though I've lived in Cleethorpes all my life, not knowing that Wheelsby Hall was here. Yeah. And wow, what a stately building it is when you pull up, and yeah, it's quite an honour to sort of say that you work at Wheelsby Hall. When it was in its prime, when I sort of first begun employment with linkage. And there's so many memories with working here for such a long time. Yeah, there's so many things that I recall, and when I was just walking up the pathway now to come and do this interview, it's thinking about the times that I've walked up this pathway and walking in the back door. Yeah, it's very happy memories. When I first started, I was 18, 19 years of age. Lived at home all my life with my parents. So coming in to support people with independent skills was a really exciting opportunity. But my first weekend at work, one of the tasks that I was given was that I needed to go into the kitchen and prepare Sunday lunch for all the staff and all the people that we support. To be truthful, I'd never cooked a Sunday lunch in the whole of my life. Parents always done it for me. So I was in an utter state of panic thinking, what shall I do? So I did actually ring my mum and I was like, Mum, I've been given this task where I've got to feed 35 people and I've never cooked a Sunday lunch. What do I do? So she talked me through everything. This is what you need to do. And that was it was a real happy memory. And when I explained to my line manager later on in the day, I was like, wow, I've never done this before. Because I did have to ask what the potato rumbler was, because my manager said that is the thing for peeling the potatoes. And I was like, well, I haven't got a clue on what to do with this. So that was a very quick learning curve for me. But yeah, that was a real happy memory. I think memories of the people that you work with as well. Because everything was based in Wheelsby Hall and down in the courtyard, it was a very close-knit, I would near enough say, family. Everyone was very supportive of you and of each other. And it was a time where it was such a happy time to come to work. Not saying that now isn't a happy time to come to work, but it's very different where linkage is very spread out now across Lincolnshire. With then it was just Wheelsby College that I was based at, and Wheelsby Hall was the main location. So yeah, I had a very close attachment to the place and to the people that I worked with. The building itself, it's a magnificent building, and working the nights you saw the building different parts, different times of the day. So it was a very lively hub when everybody was up during the day. But then when you were sat in here at 10, 11 o'clock at night doing your daily notes, the archers, the building was silent. And I always remember that my manager was always the last person to retire to bed, whether it be 1, 2 in the morning. and she used to write poetry sometimes. And one of the poems that she always wrote about was the ticking of the clock. So when everybody had gone to bed, that was the only time that you would hear the ticking of the clock in the entrance hall. And she wrote a poem about it, and it was so good to read and reflect on because it was so peaceful. And then it would go from that extreme to during the day when it was such a hub of activity where everybody was here. Yeah. There's so many things that do stick out. The biggest thing for me, that it's just fond, happy memories of what a close-knit community Wheelsby Hall was. To think what was under one roof, so you would have the hotel course running with the hotel lecturer, you would have the finance team up in the tower. That is one of the precious memories of going up to the finance team up in the tower and them showing me the secret door that leads onto the roof of Wheelsby Hall, and seeing the views from there, which was amazing. So many happy times of spending sports days on the grounds, doing the activities. So many people we support coming through the doors, and I'm in a very fortunate position. So there's a lot of people that started off here within education that's now progressed onto our residential services. So we still talk about those happy times of sort of when there was at the college, living here, and to where they are now, and that progression that they've made. It's really remarkable. There has been a lot of changes. Linkage is very different to where we was when I first started, and all for the better of Linkage. Linkage has grown, so much so, I think where we just had this sort of main living accommodation when I first started, I mean, there was some satellite houses, but obviously that grew. A lot of it is now more community support rather than the residential support that we do. So that's quite a significant change. Linkage's ethos has always stayed the same. We're here to make people more independent, build upon the skills. That's always the heart of Linkage, and Linkage's vision and goals, that's always remained the same. But I think Linkage has moved forward and progressed more with the times now. So a lot of digital care planning now. A lot of legislation has changed that we've had to move forward with. So all the changes are for the better, but we've definitely moved forward and progressed from when I first started. I think the core of Linkage is a unique place to work. I did leave Linkage for a couple of years to progress something that I'd always wanted to do, and leaving Linkage for that couple of years really brought home to me what a special place Linkage is, because it's that tight-knit family community that I don't think you get in many places outside of Linkage, and that's remained the same since I started to where we are now. Very supportive network of people around you, and it's a positive experience for the people that we support. That's key to me. What experience are the people that we support in getting out of Linkage? And that's never ever changed. It's always been the main focus of Linkage. I feel honoured to have played an important role in a lot of the people's lives that we support. And I think because I've been here so long, sort of speaking to the people we support, but also the parents, I think because we have quite a large amount of long-standing staff within Linkage, that speaks volumes itself. But from speaking to parents as well, I remember I'm still in contact with so many parents that brought the son, daughter on the day when they moved into Linkage, where it was such a stressful time for the parents, do you know what I mean, leaving the loved ones in the care of someone for the first time, to where they are now, living in community support within the community. And it's always good to be able to talk to families, reflect on how far they've come, and it's good for parents to see that stability of the staff team as well. It just gives so much reassurances to them, and to hear the positive feedback and stories that they give of the son daughter within linkage. So yeah, it's quite an honour to be in such a position where you can go back so far with some of the families. The trust is just magnificent. There's parents that come that I know that were dropping the sons' daughters off at the houses, and they would be in the car crying their eyes out because they just did not want to leave. So straight away you're building that trust and responsibility of the son and daughters when they come to us. And yeah, it's a massive thing. Sometimes I don't think people actually recognise the not trauma, but the stress that families go through just in fetching the son and daughter. And it's for us to build up that trust and actually show what a good place we are and all the good work that we do, which is clearly evident from the feedback that we get from the families and people we support. I remember when I first started, I was always told there was the ghost of Mr. Slight within Wheelsby Hall. I can't say whether I'm a believer in ghosts or not, because I don't actually know. I've never come across a ghost myself. And they would also always say when you walked up the back stairs at Wheelsby Hall that you would always be able to smell some cigarette smoke. I can't say I did ever smell the cigarette smoke, but I know people that did smell the cigarette smoke up the back stairs.
And it was
it was, yes, yeah. And it was only very late at night, the early hours of the morning, that you would be able to smell that smoke. But with it being such a large building, at night time it could be a very airy place. So when I used to do the sleep-ins at Wheelsby Hall, my bedroom was downstairs on this back corridor. And I was the only person sleeping downstairs. So sometimes you could hear noises when you was in the bedroom. And sometimes when I first started, I would come out in the morning and say to my manager, "Oh dear, I heard some creaks and things last night." And I remember one night the fire alarms were going off in the bungalow courtyard, which was connected to the main hall. But I didn't realise it was going off. It was my manager that got the notification that was going down there, and they didn't want to go down there on their own. So they came to knock me up, but they was outside knocking on the bedroom window. So they banged on the window, and I remember I absolutely froze in my bed, and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? And this bang came again. I was like, oh my God, the sweat was pouring off me. And then the bang came the third time, and they went, "Paul, it's your manager, get out of bed, I know you'll be listening." And I shot up, I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Yeah, exactly. So I went out and did what I needed to do. But so yeah, those were the only stories that I heard of the Slight family. Obviously, within the foyer of Wheelsby, there was the information about the Slight family that you could read. So yeah. So different standout memories. I think one of the main standout memories is that everybody that came into Wheelsby Hall said what a magnificent place it was. So we used to do student reviews on a Friday. And one of my jobs would be, if I was on duty, was to go into the TV lounge, get the big table out, wind it all open and extend it. And I used to stand there and think, wow, this is just so impressive. The history of this building is just magnificent. And then you would get families coming in and they would ask you so many questions. Wow, what is the history of the building? It's such a magnificent place. And again, that was an honour to be able to talk through sort of about the Slight family and the history of the place. And so those were special memories. There were special memories of sat in this room doing leisure activities for the people that we support. The daily meetings of discussing what you're going to do. Precious memories stood in the entrance hall when it was time for the students to go to bed. They'd all be shouting over the banister, "We're not going to bed, we're not going to bed." And then I think one of the real good points of the day was when everyone had gone to bed and we were sat in here doing the archers, just looking out into the grounds. Do you know what I mean? It was just, you would see wildlife walking by. There used to be deer coming by. When you get up early, there used to be pheasants and everything. And you would sit there and think, wow, this is in the middle of Grimsby. Not many people know about Wheelsby Hall. And to be sat there just watching it all, it's like, sometimes it was like time stood still. Where you would just sit and be like, wow, this is just the best. So yeah, there's lots of different memories, lots of special memories. I couldn't pinpoint one thing that was the best thing because there's so many different aspects. I was very fortunate to be here for such a long time. I think it's exciting that Wheelsby Hall is being renovated and put back to its former glory. I think the time when I first started at Linkage, you will never relive those moments ever again. Linkage has moved forward for the better and is continuing to expand. And I just feel very proud and very fortunate to have been here in the heyday of Linkage, when it was such a busy, bustling community within the hall. Yeah, and just lots of precious memories.